Salvation lies in keeping your feasts, says Nahum 1:15. So join me as I dive deep into Nahum 1:15 and challenge myself to keep the feasts in the way that honors the message. Many people today view the feasts as outdated traditions with no real practical application in our daily lives. Others see the feasts as mere celebrations devoid of spiritual significance. Most people might even believe that feasts are for a select group of people like the Israelites of the Old Testament. But I think there is more to it than that of the common misconception. The misunderstanding stems from a lack of understanding about the purpose behind the feasts. So let us examine the scriptures in the book of Nahum 1:15. Behold upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thy Solomon feasts, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off. And those that don't keep the feast days and the wicked are going to be cut off, are going to be destroyed. Let me turn to the book of Romans chapter 10, verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it's written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the good news of peace and bring glad tidings of good. As it's written. Where is it written about the glad tidings? It's written in Nahum 1:15. The feast days is the good news. That's the plan of salvation. So Paul taught the feast days to be observed. And we find out that he kept the Passover. In 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23 to 25 and 28 and 33. Let us read. 1 Corinthians, for I have received of the master that which also I delivered unto you, that the master Yeshua the same night in which he was betrayed took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, take and eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner, also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. 28. Let a man examine himself, so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. 33. Wherefore, my brethren, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another. That's why he uses the words in the same night that our Savior was betrayed. That's when we are supposed to observe the Passover. So he kept the Passover with the apostolic church in Corinthians. Acts 20, verse 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus because he would not spend time in Asia. For he hasted, if it were possible for him to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost. So he hasted. It was a must feast that he was to go and observe in Jerusalem. So to the many people that claim, Paul taught that the law was nailed to the cross. The law that was nailed to the cross is not the feast days. It's the law that regulated the death of a sacrifice, which we find in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 8. Hebrews 10:8, above when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. It was the sacrificial law that regulated the death of a sacrifice. So that's the law that was nailed to the cross, not the feast days. So Paul taught and celebrated the feasts. So that means he never taught that the feast days were nailed to the cross. On the contrary, the feast days were taken away by the Roman Catholic Church. So here is the proof. A quote from an abridgment of the Christian doctrine, page 58. We read, Question: how prove you that the church has power to command feasts and holidays? Answer: by the very act of changing the Sabbath into Sunday, which Protestants allow of, and therefore they foundly contradict themselves by keeping Sunday strictly and breaking most other feasts commanded by the same church. Let me also quote from the Catholic Catechism. The new law has its own spirit and its own feasts, which have taken the place of those appointed in the law of Moses. If we would know the days to be observed, we must go to the Catholic Church, not to the Mosaic law. This is a quotation written in the Catechism, and it was reprinted in the Signs of the Times, November 4th, 1919. The Roman Catholic holidays like Easter, Christmas, Halloween, St. Valentine's, and a weekly Sunday, those are the feasts that have taken the place of those appointed in the law of Moses. And they did that to fulfill the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25. Let us read it. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. He, the man of sin, was to think to change the times, that's the creation calendar, and the laws. Those are the feasts appointed in the law of Moses. So, be it you believe or not, our salvation lies in keeping the feast days. So feel free to leave your thought in the comments below. May you like and share and subscribe for more content on spiritual growth.